Namaste. So after a long time I'm coming live because I had gone for a Vipassana 10-day course, and I was very eager to share my experiences. Some people have also asked for it. So today I came live to actually talk about the intense experience and the lessons that I learned or discovered during my 10-day Vipassana session. And this was my second experience actually. So 2 years ago I had already done this course in the same place, Dhammabodhi. Okay. So the very first thing is that this time it was different because this time I did not get a room alone. I got a room in sharing. So both of these things, whether you get it in sharing or you get alone, both of them have their own, what do you say, pros and cons. Okay. So when you get it alone, because the last time when I got it alone, I was given a room towards one corner of the place, and from both the windows, one window at this side and it was right beside my bed, the other window was on the other side of the bed and it was right near my where I would keep my leg while sleeping. Both these windows, right outside the window, like at some distance, was a tree each. Okay. Consequently I had ample reason to feel scared, and my first experience entailed mostly of how scared I was. Most of my fears were coming out in the first time. Now this time, what happened was that this time a lot of the things that I could not tolerate, like my endurance, was put on trial. So my second Vipassana experience, I would, if I had to give it in one thing, like, what I learned, or what was the main thing that was tested, it was my endurance. Okay. Even though I asked for a single room, I was not given one because I think they didn't have enough, or whatever was the reason. Even though the room was good enough, and I got a good partner, that was a good thing. That the lady with me, she was much younger. I think she was 10 years younger to me, and she was also a school teacher. She was a school counselor actually. So it was good being with her, but sharing has, again, it's, if there's pros, but there's also con. Okay. And con is that you cannot be your original self completely when you are in sharing. And I'm sure that people know who have been in sharing versus who have also been in single rooms. So this was my first sharing room ever. I've always, as a student also, I've always preferred to be in single rooms. Okay. And so a lot of things were put to test, however, and but there was also this kind of satisfaction of not being alone. Okay. Last time, because I was also spooked, and so these things do happen in Vipassana, because your fears, all the negative patterns are coming out. So the difficulty with that, as well as the good things about it, all those things carried forward. It was very hot, as anyone can see. It was Dhammabodhi, so it was in Gaya, and both Gaya, 47 degrees centigrade, and in the daytime the breaks that we got for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, we were walking in this 47 degrees centigrade to and fro, and touch, but I was not unwell. I did not become unwell at all, not even a single day, except for the aches that you have, because 10 and a half hours of meditation and 1.5 hour of the pravachan, the discourse, when you're sitting, you obviously automatically get a lot of aches. But Vipassana is about observing the sensations. So these aches are important, and then you transcend the aches. That's a magical aspect of Vipassana. So these problems and the food and schedule, obviously, but this time I knew exactly well, and I knew what to expect. So food and the schedule didn't transform into a problem. However, when you are at a Vipassana center, I think anyone would normally say getting up at 4 o'clock. This time, because we were in sharing, so sharing the washroom as well, it meant that waking up at 3:30 in the morning, and so 4:30 the meditations would start, and you didn't have a dinner. The lunch was also done at 11 o'clock, and in the evening you would just get, the old students would get one glass of lemon water. Okay. And but this time, after 3-4 days, I could not contain, and I said that I would need the tea, and with a little bit of bhel, what you call. So so there were many things that as a problem which occurred, and many learnings and lessons. However, I would say that the batch was really good. I really appreciated the people that were there, because, and even other people said the same thing, that others with whom I connected on this in this session later, because on the 10th day you are allowed to talk, and then you can become pals and be friendly. So many people said the same thing. So Vipassana is a free course, actually. Everyone should know that. And in this free course, supposedly what happens is that there are many people who are looking forward to free food, free stay. So there are many financially weaker section people also who come to this course not with an intention to learn the meditation, but to be able to guarantee the food on those many days. Okay. And last time I think maybe 60-70% of the people were like that. Okay, women and men are segregated, and in the women's community, we had at least 70% women who were, you clearly see that they had not come to meditate. Okay, and even with the behavior you can understand that. So however, this time I think there were very few of them, and most of the women were very serious. In fact, there were many young women also, students just out of class 12th, and I was very, very happy and so proud to see that youngsters are now picking up on meditation as well, especially women, because I can only guarantee about the women thing, because I know what was happening in the women's compartment, so to say, and there were around 95 to 100 women, and so consequently the batch was good. And later on, when I caught up with all these people, talked to them, so we got to know that number of them were already on the path of spirituality. So that was something that I really loved about the experience at Vipassana this time, that the women who came were serious about spirituality. It was not like just getting food and stay for those many days, right? Then if you talk about, okay, so then if I talk about the lessons that I learned this time, so there were many intense lessons. And actually I would past life regression therapist. I've regressed many people, and I've been regressed as well. But apart from that, I have also seen my past lives in Akashic records, and I'm a Reiki master. So for a number of reasons, I had this entire database of my own past lives. So I think from the 11th century onwards, I know a number of my past lives factually like data. But what Vipassana did to me was, it kind of did data analysis for me. So where are some of the major problems coming? So it's not like you will be given it you'll be given in a typical matrix way, that these are the problems, cut, and these are the solutions, cut, do this. It's nothing like that, of course. There's something like what Mr. S.N. Goenka keeps mentioning, that Gautam Buddha talked about, bhavna maya panya. Okay, so the experiential learning, like let's say that kheer is a sweet dish, right? Everyone knows about it. Like let's say there's a foreigner who comes and asks, what is kheer? And I just tell that person that this is made of this and this, and it's supposed to be sweet. People like it in India. Now that's an intellectual understanding of kheer. But when that person eats it, they knows the taste very well and knows that there is a value attached to it. Okay, so the experiential aspect of it is what I got. So I wouldn't say that data analysis was something like an intellectual understanding of things. Because when I shared it with my roommate, she said, so didn't you know that earlier? That was the question she asked me. That didn't you know all these lessons earlier? I said, intellectually, anyone can know that. I've read so many books, I've done so many courses, I knew it. But this was the experiential aspect of it. So one of the major life lessons I learned, oh my God, this was, and even before getting into that lesson, let me tell you, most important aspect of Vipassana, that despite doing multiple modalities, spiritual modalities, none of these modalities actually catering to that, is to actually solving the unconscious. Okay, when they say reprogram your mind and things like that, do this, do that, they don't ever get to the unconscious mind. Okay, Vipassana is one technique that takes you to the level of the unconscious mind. For those people who don't understand what's unconscious mind. So Freudian understanding, Freud was the first psychologist, like the one who introduced this subject like psychology. So he says that the brain has 3 levels. Okay, the conscious, the subconscious, the unconscious. Now the conscious level is something like, I'm a Vipassana, I'm a woman, okay, and these are my degrees, this is what I do, and consequently this is how I have to appear in front of people. Okay, subconscious is what, when you calculate the subconscious and the unconscious together, it contributes to 95% of the mind, while the conscious is only 5%. So they say that at the unconscious level, and so the subconscious level is the mid region, and the unconscious level is the major base of the mind, which is totally unknown to the conscious mind. Okay, so even though I feel that, oh my god, I am such a wise person, why would I ever steal, or why would I ever do things like this and that, whatever, which is unacceptable, the unconscious mind may actually delve into those patterns. Okay, so some of the problems, many people say that, I don't know, I'm working a lot, I can't earn so much of money. A lot of people complain that, or people also have complaints like, I'm such a nice person, but why can't I manifest a person who loves me back? Why do I always get cheaters? Okay, and there is no answer to these questions unless you get to the unconscious. So I have tried my level best through different modalities to find answers to these things. Like past life regression therapy is one of the ways. Akashic records is one of the ways I try to get answers. Tarot reading is one of the ways that I try to answer this question. But answering this question versus solving this problem are 2 different things, and that is what Vipassana actually does. It solves your unconscious. But there is danger to that as well, and I will be making a video for tomorrow on YouTube, and I'll definitely share the link here. Be cautious with Vipassana. Once you started Vipassana, there's no stopping. So you should only start Vipassana when you know that you are going to keep it, you'll do it with stability, with consistency. Okay, so one of these days, let me actually begin by what was the problem that I asked the question for. So from last 2 years ago, when I went to Vipassana, the guidance that I got towards the end of Vipassana was to leave the job I was doing, and the job was actually hellish. I'd say hellish is a smaller word, because the place I was working in was not at all good. The people I was serving was not good. Okay, and I would not want to continue on that, but and it took me like 6 to 8 months to actually give up the job, even though on the very day I had gone in July, I had already announced I want to leave the job, but I couldn't leave it until December, that too with a lot of problems. Ever since then, I felt like a runner, like I was always chasing things, relationship issues I was dealing with, legalities. I was almost feeling that I am on a burnout. Okay, I was not able to tackle my life, and despite so much of potential, and despite like helping so many people in my life, I helped many women write their books, many women do public speaking and things like that. I do not understand why am I not able to solve my own life patterns. What is happening? I know so much, and I know technically like so many things about my own past lives, and I know that where the problem is coming from, I'm doing healing, and so things turned out in a way that I felt I was on a burnout in every manner. Medically, I was very, very unfit. All kinds of problems, all kinds of diseases I was kind of attracting, and I didn't want to talk to anyone. People wanted to meet. I said, I am sorry, I'm busy in this, and I was not busy in that at all. Thank you so much. I was not at all busy at that point of time, even though I was doing a lot of work online. The very basic of me is that I'm a teacher. Okay, now when people hear school teacher, they think I had people telling me in Vipassana, you don't look like a school teacher, you look like something more. I don't know why people say that. School teacher is a person. School teachers are people who shape the entire community. I really have I have loads of respect for school teachers. But yes, that's the base of what I am. I may have become a TEDx speaker, I may have written many books, and I may have, coached many women. But at the core of everything, I'm a school teacher, and I'd lost touch with that school teacherly aspect of myself. I started disliking going to school, doing teaching. I started, at times even yelling at my own kids, and I've been such a loving mother always. I did not understand, I did not like myself in the mirror, okay? And so things were on the verge of, I just, what do you say? It felt like, there's darkness all around, yeah? And that was the question that I asked in Vipassana on the very, very first day, okay? When we started with the Anapana meditation. That's a meditation of observing your breath and the sensations it brings about when you breathe in, breathe out, and things like that. So I asked that question on the first day. Towards the second day end, I started getting bit by bit the answers, and I said, why is this happening to me? Why am I feeling like this? I am not that kind of a person. Till date, there are people, there are kids, there are women, there are even men who say that you are so inspirational, and that I've literally seen students who have transformed. There are students whom I taught 10 years ago, and they come back and say that, ma'am, even though we have not been in touch, and they say that I knew you will be the right person to answer this question, and they talk about their marriage, or they talk about the family issues, talk about their career issues. So I've solved many other people's problems, and I was wondering why in the last 1.5 or 2 years I've not been able to solve my problems. So I asked this question in Vipassana while I was observing my breath and sensations. Why is it like this? What exactly happened? Okay, so I started getting the answers, and as I told you, that data analysis happened of all the data I had of my past lives ever since 11th century or 10th century. So in number of lifetimes, as I already knew, through Akashic records, through deep meditations, through past life regression, I saw this pattern, okay, wherein I saw that I always lost the love of my life, who was my twin flame actually. And in most of the lifetimes, what would happen would be that either my twin flame died in front of me, okay, or he was killed in front of me, and things like these only. Most of the lifetimes were like that, and I would be dying immediately after him, or I would be dying in the beginning, and then he would get old, and then I would return into his life as a young woman. So in one of the lifetimes, he was someone royal, and I was his wife, so like a Rani or a queen or whatever. But I died young. He continued in a very bad state, and then I came back to him as a courtesan. Okay, as a courtesan, not as a wife. But we did not again have a long loving connection, we couldn't, because he died. When he died, I was mistreated, I was thrown out, and then I died out of some disease. So this data analysis happened, and I realized that I feel that I am unloved. This was one of the major lessons I got. I have always felt that I am unloved. Then I have been uncared for. No one cares for me. And the third answer that I got was that I am unworthy. I am worth nothing. I am a big zero. That is this unconscious belief pattern that has been there for at least 1,000 years or 800, 900 years, in all the lifetimes. And I could see anew all my past lives, that how things led on to other things. Okay, and at that point of time I asked, so okay, this is what I feel. I'm unloved, I'm uncared for, and I'm also unworthy. What do I do now? So I saw myself standing at a point, and there were two roads. Okay, so it was a forked road. Okay, it was like a Y, and I was standing at this point, and two roads going. So I said, what should I do now? So I went on the first road, and I started watching my own video there. In one of the videos I said that if you feel you are unloved, that's something that I've said in the past myself. If you feel you are unloved, what should you do? You should not beg for love, but you should start giving love. When you give love to people, then love has this energy within itself that even when you give it, you feel it. You feel nurtured yourself when you nurture others. So I said, okay, I'll be the giver of love. I'll be the fountain of love. and I'll do selfless service and things like that. Okay, good. But then I was having tears at this point of time, even listening to this. So then I came back to this position to see what is the other, road saying. So then I went on the other road. Okay, when I went on the other road, I saw a line of people. The first in the line was my mother. The second and third were my kids, my father, my sisters, my family members, some of my colleagues, my best friends. These were the people in the line. And beyond them was an endless line of my students. And looking at that, I really started crying. Now, maybe people who sat beside me in Vipassana, they must have thought that she is having some really bad experience. But I was having a more than grateful experience. Because what I realized after looking at my family, friends, colleagues and people was, I have always been loved. There were some past life characters as well. And I saw, my God, I have always been loved. What made me think ever that I have not been loved? I have always had so many loving connections. People care for me. Okay. And beyond that, when I saw this endless line of my students, then I realized that for whatever reason I ever thought that I am unworthy. Because my students, most of my students have always made me feel so worthy. Like, why would people come to you to ask questions about their lives? That too when you're not their teacher anymore. Like, they would find you online and they would come and get their problems solved with you. So, suddenly there was this bulb on moment. I thought, oh my God, this is such a wrong notion. What a misconception to have as a foundation in the unconscious mind, that I am unloved, uncared and I'm unworthy. And I realized I am loved so much, I am cared for so much, and I am very, very worthy. So that was a very, very, and it took like more than one day to go through each of these things to come to this beautiful realization. This was actually a very, very, this transition into me becoming, myself again. And on the fourth day, I was like very, very ready. Okay, I'm ready for life again. I've lost my burnout thing, and I don't want to dress up and all those things. I lost all those things. I came back to myself, to the previous, empowered Arunima. The burnout was gone. The next big thing that I realized was, this was probably, I think, on the 7th and 8th day, that, as a twin flame, that I don't know what is twin flame reunion, okay? But I know that there's nothing like twin flame separation. You need to transcend your mind to be with your twin flame forever, okay? Now, people who have some knowledge of spirituality, people who have some knowledge of the matrix world, people who are not so logical, so illogically logical, I would say, because some people are so logical, they are so stuck up with the matrix world, they think that there's nothing beyond this. I have seen people saying, oh, there's nothing like angel numbers and whatever mystical experience, so they have no faith on that. So I'm definitely not talking about them, okay? So I'm talking about people who have some experience of the spiritual world, who know that these things happen. You see angel numbers, you are getting spiritual guidance. So about the twin flame journey, what I realized in Vipassana, I think this was the 7th day, 8th day, and I think the 9th day also, half the day, because my mind, I had transcended the mind's thinking. I was into the spiritual world. So I saw my twin flame always sitting right beside me or right opposite to me. It was a beautiful experience, and I knew that when I move out of the sessions, I will not see my twin flame again. I'm sure about that, and that may make me sad, but I realized that I don't know what is reunion, but there is no separation between twin flames, because his higher self is always with me. And guess what? So I made up this mental understanding of the fact that the 3D feminine and the 5D masculine, the 3D feminine with the 5D masculine, they are working together, okay, for the healing, the spiritual healing that is supposed to be happening. That was my understanding, okay. And now then I had to travel, and this after the 10th day, on the 11th day I had to travel and whatever. Now today morning, I saw this video by a very very good, this is a great channel and it's a very new channel on twin flames. This lady also says the same thing, that the 3D feminine and the 5D masculine, they work together to bring about the spiritual healing. Because whatever may my 3D, divine masculine do in his life, the 5D masculine is always present. And the first thing that, if you think you are on the twin flame journey, you must realize is that you should not rush after reunion at all. And reunion is not always marriage. Okay, so you need to come out of the matrix world and stop thinking about validations and things like that. You should totally focus on yourself, your healing. How can you serve the life purpose? What are those things that you've been given to give out to the world? So, and this was a very very beautiful experience of understanding the twin flames, and I thought, my God, he's always with me. Okay, and why should I ever care for the 3D person? Because the 3D is only an ego. Like, I'm also an ego only, because if I feel small, if I feel a burnout, that's the 3D manifestation of my higher self, right? So that was also another beautiful thing that I understood. You need to transcend your mind to be able to understand all these things, right? Then I had a major understanding of Vipassana. This was on the 9th day. So Vipassana, what is Vipassana? Vipassana is like the cleansing of your unconscious mind. Most of these visualizations and most of these things that we are doing in our world, they only come up to the level of the conscious mind. Even the Naam Jap and all those things, you're talking about chakra balancing, and this time also twice my Kundalini rose to and went ahead of the Sahasrara chakra. But this is all again very very 3D. Okay, what I realized was Vipassana is the only technique that actually caters to the unconscious, and as I said previously, it's also dangerous in that manner, because if you start Vipassana, you must not stop Vipassana. What happened with me last time when I started it, in those 10 days, all my fears started coming out. Fears related to ghosts, fears related to authorities. As a young child in class 1, I was like pretty scared of one of my teachers. Those kind of fears started coming up. Fears like in the dream, I would see that my kids are not recognizing me. They are saying, we don't know who are you. You left us for 10 days. And then I saw that my mother is very unwell. All those kind of things had come up. Now what happened when I walked out of Vipassana was that Vipassana has levels. So the first level is Anapana, and unfortunately I kept my Vipassana only till Anapana, first level of Vipassana. So what happens, I'll tell you as in a metaphoric manner. Let me tell you what is it. Let's say you have got a lot of cockroaches in your kitchen. Okay, now you put those medicines deep inside to get rid of the cockroaches. What will happen? The cockroaches will come out, right? Now when the cockroaches come out, what are you supposed to be doing? You are supposed to be killing the cockroaches again. Okay, all the live cockroaches which are coming out, you're supposed to be killing them. If you don't kill them, they'll infest the entire house. Maybe they will be multiplied, and maybe some of them will go back to the origin from where they had come out. Now Vipassana is the same technique of healing your negativities from the unconscious. Okay, so those problems will come up, they will rise, and if you stop Vipassana, they will mess up your life. They will come up in your life, they will show up, and you have to keep doing Vipassana. So that was the dangerous thing that I realized. Okay, and I was devastated to realize, oh my God, I have manifested the financial crux, the medical problems, all these things in the last 2 years when my life felt like a mess. I have manifested it all because I stopped doing Vipassana. So that was one major realization. That's something people don't talk about at all. There are many people who do Vipassana in a very very mechanical manner. They think observe breath and observe breath, observe sensations. No, at the same time your mind is also talking. So if from the first day to the second day your mind is still going in different regions, then your mind is not, thank you so much, then your mind is not actually, you're not able to control your mind. Okay, so I'm not talking about controlling in the sense that you tell the mind what to think, but then at least the mind should be moving on a line of thought. Otherwise, you know what the mind does. Like, let's say if I'll keep quiet for 1 second, then I'll think, the first thing, oh my god, I'm having a headache. Second thing, I'll think, okay, immediately after this live, what do I have to do? Then the third thing, so within a span of 10 seconds, I may think 10 things. But in the span of Vipassana, on the second day also, if you still maintain this pattern, you're not doing Vipassana well. So there are many unsaid things about Vipassana. And this is one of the things that if you start, you should continue. Because let me also tell you that there is no more, there's no other process which is as powerful as Vipassana. I don't think so, because I have managed to do multiple modalities. You talk about any kriya or any healing technique, I'll tell you they all have their own benefits, but they mostly cater to the conscious mind, at the most to the subconscious mind. They may change your reality on top, but your thought pattern, and sooner or later, whenever you stop doing it, it's like an intoxication, or it's like food. You have not taken it today. Like, let's say you talk about Reiki. I'm like very, very grateful to be a Reiki master, advanced angel healer, advanced Ho'oponopono healer. I've done Sudarshan Kriya. I've done and all these things I've done in a very, very serious manner. So it's not like I did it for one day and I'm saying I'm one of those. No. But all these things, like let's say I drink a glass of water today I'm not going to feel thirsty. Tomorrow I will again. Okay, but Vipassana is something that it will cleanse and get rid of the problem altogether. And so that was one of the realizations, and I think everyone should do it seriously, and the Maharashtra government has made it compulsory for the schools. Okay, I don't know why aren't the other states taking, why aren't they following the footprints, but I think it's a very, very important process that Gautam Buddha had innovated, developed on the previous ones that were already there. I also feel that it's a very, very simple technique, but it's very difficult to follow. So it's simple but not easy. And there's a big myth broken when you go for Vipassana. We tend to think that, like one of my fellow members who was there, she was saying, we should do it for 20 minutes. We have a very matrix kind of, built-in mind. We think that we'll go for work for 8 hours, we'll sleep for let's say 4 to 5 hours, we'll have fun for 5-6 hours, we'll watch movie, this, that and the other, we'll have the screen time for these many hours or whatever. But meditation we'll do for 20 minutes. Meditation is something like, it's like your breath. Okay, thank you. So ideally, this entire myth is broken when you think that I can do meditation for 20 minutes and get done with that. You're just catering to your conscious mind, nothing else. If you really want to change, I feel that you need to go to something like this, like the Vipassana session, at least one 10-day session every year, and do it on a regular basis. That was my understanding. That's what my understanding is. Apart from all the dangers I've talked about Vipassana some time ago. It's simple, but it's not easy, and it needs time. Okay, unlike other things, so it also you need to give it enough time. And another thing that I realized, which I keep on realizing, but more so in spiritual retreats, I've seen people have their own vibrational frequency, and they're going to take the lessons from the level of their own vibrational frequency. So my favorite example always will be the map of consciousness technique developed by Dr. Hawkins back in the 1960s, which says that whichever emotion you hold, okay, let's say you are feeling shame, you're feeling guilt, you are jealous, or you are in the energy of acceptance, all these emotions, they have a vibrational frequency. So Dr. Hawkins actually, and you can read that book also. So Dr. Hawkins had developed this machine, the scientific methodology through which your vibrational frequency could be, measured, and then accordingly your mental state would be understood. Okay, so there were multiple kinds of people in Vipassana. Okay, there were people who had just come to, because as I already previously mentioned, it's a free course. Fortunately, this time we didn't have so many of them. Last time there were 70% of women who were there from the financially weaker section. So they had just come to be able to, have food for those many days guaranteed. Okay, And however, there were people at this time. I'm so fortunate, this batch was very nice, because this time we had people who were like serious about spirituality. They really wanted to understand how to master our minds. But what you understand basically of this technique is also an understanding of your, mental vibration, of how much have you understood in life, or because this is a super powerful technique. I would not hesitate in saying that it's a very, very boring procedure, 10.5 hours of meditation. You keep sitting, there's a lot of aches that develop, and you're just praying, oh my god, when is the next break coming up? So that's a myth broken, that meditation can be done in 20 minutes and solve your entire or your past lives in 20 minutes. That's not possible. Okay, what I understood through, as I told you, that the data analysis happened of all my past lives. What I understood was that I have created all these lives of mine. In a certain lifetime, I faced devastation. I was manhandled. So to wreak vengeance, or to take revenge, or to balance karma, I was born into another form of an entity. It was almost like a criminal in the next lifetime. Now that I committed such bad karma in the next lifetime, the further next lifetime was vibrationally even lower. So I was in a very, very poor family, totally unloved. I died in an accident. Next lifetime I was born in a rich family, but totally restless, and in that lifetime I renounced all the worldly pleasures. I left my wife behind. That is a lifetime wherein I gained a lot of spiritual energy, because of which I think I got yet another lifetime as Arunima, to be able to understand things and to be able to do it, and perhaps to guide a few people as well. So what I understood through Vipassana was that you can take charge of your present life and your future life and your future lifetimes. So I feel it's a very, very important technique, and I think when you try a number of things, I think this is the thing that I really want to continue with, Vipassana, in a very, very serious manner. Like it talks about being having a very, in Hindi they say samta bhav. Okay, do not crave for good experiences, do not have aversion for bad experiences, and it does it through sensations, but in a very subtle manner. The course has been developed in a very, very nice way. You will think it's very simplistic, but bit by bit it's very layered actually. Okay, so they'll start with the simplest of things, and day by day they're going to increase the levels and the intensity, and so you will not even be able to understand. You will not feel it is difficult in understanding, but of course sitting through the whole day is the difficult aspect of it. But if you can master that, or if you can at least promise yourself that I'm going to do this for 10 days, and I have to make a video which I'll be publishing tomorrow on YouTube, of how to ensure that you finish off your 10 days. Okay, because most of the people want to run away the very first or second day. So tips and tricks of how to go through the 10 days. So if you manage to do that, if you manage to commit to yourself and fulfill the commitment, then and obviously even after the 10 days, do it for the whole year and then get on back with it the next year. I think there's a great way out of it, because I have seen the results, right? And then yet another lesson I learned was that that was a very emotional situation. So on one of the very initial days, I was crying heavily in my own room, and my room partner, she was not able to understand why is she crying and things like that. Suddenly, out of nowhere, in the meditation itself, it struck me. And after the meditation, when I came to as a break after lunch, I was trying to sleep, which I couldn't, obviously. I broke down again, and I, for whatever reason, started thinking I'm such a useless mother. Okay, so I'm such a useless mother. And you know what happens, that when you start thinking on one line, then the mind is going to give you one-sided arguments. Okay, it's like a debate. So if you're saying for, then for results are only coming at the point of time that, okay, I didn't do this also, I couldn't do that also, and I couldn't do that also. So another 15 minutes of only bad things. And then I calmed myself down, I got freshened up for the next session. And then when I sat down, I wanted to see the opposite side, and I saw the opposite side, and I saw that there were so many things I did, which normally mothers are not able to do. However, the ultimate lesson that I got was, that marriage is such a matrix thing. We get married for all nonsensical reasons. Okay, the major nonsensical reason is because everyone gets married. Let's also get married. Second reason I'll tell you, because my parents want me to get married. Okay, so it's a social validation. My parents want me to do that, so let me do that. And I think I did that for those reasons only. Okay, so for the love of my parents, let me get married to a stranger. I never talked to a stranger, but I'll marry a stranger. So all nonsensical reasons. Marriage is like the foundation, like the school system. Marriage is also another foundation of the matrix. That's the understanding that I got. And we so don't think that of what actually marriage is going to lead to. Okay, we don't know that person. We don't know what dreams that person has. We don't know what kind of habits that person has, whether I'm going to be able to stand up to that or not. In the beginning, in the courtship period, obviously both the girl and the boy are at their best. Okay, I'm not trying to put anyone into the shoes of the villain, but what I'm trying to say is that, we make this commitment, I'm going to be my best self, I'll be so good, and things like that. But you can't be anything except yourself in the long term. You can't try to be a changed entity all throughout your life. So we need to think about marriage number of times, most importantly, because you are not just getting married. In future you're going to produce kids. So don't look out for just a partner, look out for the father of your kids, whether this man will be a good father or whether this woman will be a good mother. And even before that, whether you are going to be a good parent. Do you think you are responsible enough to be able to take charge of a new child? Marriage is a totally senseless business, as senseless as the matrix itself. That's a lesson that I've got. And I've always spoken about this. All these men, when men talk, and so men will drive, and that's why people think I'm very, very biased against men. But a lot of men will drive conversations from professional aspects, and that's why I don't cater to men. I don't coach men at all. There's so many men who said that they wanted to write books. One or two of them I tried out to help them. They were not interested in writing books. They would pay the money, but they would not write the books. They just wanted to chat. So men would drive the conversations to somewhere else. They have this notion that women are so excited about marriage. Of course, till the time we are foolish, and I was one of those foolish girls, we are excited about marriage. Because I think I was excited about marriage because I'll be able to look so beautiful, and I'll have this beautiful lehenga, and I'm going to have so many jewelries. And I was a typical 90s kid, So I was as foolish as any other girl of my age, of my generation. We didn't think so much. But yes, our generation is a generation that started divorces at a high level, high rate. Whichever friend I call, everyone is divorced. Nobody is tolerating nuisance. And the girls after us, 10 years down the line, the girls are such, they're saying, we are not going to get married only. Fortunately, they realized what we didn't realize. So I think we need to think a lot about marriage, and we need to change the terms and conditions. We need to train the guys, and that's something that I've been talking about. So this is not a Vipassana concept. But what I realized ultimately is that Vipassana can actually make you a very, very aware and alert person, make you make very conscious choices, get you rid of the unaware state. If you look at people today, like right now I don't have my AC on in the room, because I think I also need to be in the natural temperature for most part of the day. And sometimes when I'm feeling very hot, I should switch on the AC. How many houses are working like that? Now, I'm not trying to say I'm very intelligent. I'm doing that because I cannot be in the AC for very long. Okay, I start feeling sick. So the fact that humans are transforming into robots, like we are trying to prepare ideal conditions, forgetting that these ideal conditions do not match up with our natural vibrations. We are harming our natural abilities by making artificial conditions for ourselves. So Vipassana is something which can make you aware of all these things, make you alert, make you get into conscious choices. And I also realized that through the lifetimes, like Gautam Buddha's lifetimes, it is said that Gautam Buddha was looking for God. when he remembered all his past lives. Now, when I remember, I have not remembered all my past lives, because supposedly in the regression I got to know I have lived 971 lives. This is the 971st life, so called. I remember around 12 to 14 lifetimes of mine. And so, what I could see in the pattern, I was always looking for love. Okay, I was always seeking love, and I always saw my twin flame dying in front of me, being killed in front of me, and I dying immediately after, and things like that. So, I was looking for love. The major lesson I learned in Vipassana was, because I was seeking love outside, I could not be in love with myself. And that is why the pattern that I talked about some time ago, I felt I'm unloved, I'm uncared, and I'm unworthy. So this lifetime is probably for realization that I should love myself first. Okay. So this separation consciousness comes from the fact that all these lifetimes were created, all these ill effects were created because of my staying unaware that unity comes from within. Okay. You can meet your twin flame only when you meet yourself. Your twin flame can never come to you unless you are in unity with yourself, unless the inner union happens. And there were many more realizations, frankly, but I am very grateful for all the experiences, and I am very grateful for the audience here. Thank you so much. Tomorrow I will be uploading a video about the cautions of Vipassana, and also how to crack the code of doing this 10-day course, and how can it be applied, for how good is it, what are the benefits, and all those things on YouTube. Okay, and that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening to me. I'll sign off. Arunima, namaste. Thank you.